Hey y'all, it's Karen Rogers. Welcome back. It's time for video number 48, and today we'll talk about bluegrass music. This video was inspired by the Walnut Valley Bluegrass Festival that takes place every year in Winfield, Kansas. On the third weekend in September, over 15,000 people come to Winfield, Kansas for this huge festival to play bluegrass and listen to bluegrass music. They have four main stages, and they have a competitions. They have international flat picking championships. People come from all over the world to compete in the contests. They have workshops, they have arts and crafts, and they have a huge party in the Pecan Grove that's outside of the fairgrounds. And there you can hear music 24/7. All hours you will hear bluegrass music. Also, they have stage 5 that started on the back of a pickup truck, and people get married on stage 5. It's a big reunion for a lot of people. I know my friends Lisa and Regina wouldn't miss it. They haven't missed a bluegrass festival forever, and they won't. They just love it that much. Well, what is it? What is it that draws all these people and have them coming back year after year? What is bluegrass music? Let's talk about that just a little bit. This is a picture of Bill Monroe, and he's called the father of bluegrass music. This is his band. They were popular in the 1950s, in that era, and they got their name because they were from Kentucky. And Kentucky has bluegrass, and I'm talking about the grass itself, but this beautiful bluegrass that's in that state. And since they were from Kentucky, they called themselves the Bluegrass Boys, and they were very popular, and they basically started the bluegrass music. They had a unique style, this three-finger picking style. And bluegrass music, it's like country, but it's a lot more upbeat, and the melody is pretty simple. And what happens is each of the musicians take turns playing and improvising their version of the song. Generally, a bluegrass band will have a bass, a guitar, a banjo, a fiddle or violin, and a mandolin. That's kind of the standard. And I think the best way to describe bluegrass music is just to play a little piece for you. This is the Foggy Mountain Breakdown. So I'm just going to play it, some bluegrass music. Yes. There's the fiddle. So you go from the banjo to the fiddle. Okay, you get it? Well, let's talk about the culture, the Appalachian culture, where it came from. Let's take a look at this map, and there are three mountain ranges in the United States. You've got the Sierra Nevada in California, you've got the Rockies, and then the Appalachian Mountains on the east side. And they start in Maine and go all the way down to Georgia. The area that we're talking about is more this southern area: Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, West Virginia, all the way down to Georgia, Alabama. All right, you get the idea. Well, that culture, they call it the Appalachian culture. Now, you can say Appalachia or Appalachia. That word Appalachian, came from Native Americans, the Appalachee tribe, and it's then now called Appalachia. But if you're from the South, you should call it Appalachia. They're very particular about that, and so for the rest of this video, I will say Appalachia. All right, the culture is interesting because they are mountain people. You know, this is a mountain culture. The people who live there wanted to get away from the government. They didn't care about being progressive and modern. It started off with Cherokee Indians used to live in the area, and then the Europeans came in, and the Europeans were Scotch-Irish, English, and German. And then there was also the influence of the Southern black culture. And you can hear a little pieces of all those cultures in bluegrass music. For example, there's the storytelling, the fiddle playing, the ballads, and then that improvisation where each person takes a turn playing their instrument and the rest play accompaniment. So you get to hear it's just a blend. It's a blend of cultures, and the mountain people are unique and different. They wanted to live on their own, and they could basically provide everything that they needed. They didn't need the city. They could make their own soaps, and they loved storytelling. And some of the things that came out of that culture that you might be familiar with, there's the story of Johnny Appleseed. There is Davy Crockett, that wore the coonskin hat. There's Daniel Boone, the legendary feud between the Hatfields and the McCoys. Well, because they didn't really want all the government influence, they were kind of considered to be backward and uneducated. They would say ain't and stuff like that. These were these hillbillies, but they were happy people. They could make what they needed. They also brought us the mountain music. And the mountain music, this is a dulcimer. This one is a hammer dulcimer. You sort of put it's flat, and you can play it with these utensils. Or this one is the mountain dulcimer. They were invented in that area. And again, that one is sort of like a guitar, but you can play it on your lap. All right, well, another piece of that culture that I wanted to add to this story is how they made their living. They were happy living in the mountains, and then of course the railroad came through, and to keep their land they would have to work. They would either work in the logging and the timber industry, or they would work in coal mines, or they would work for the railroad. And they didn't have a lot of money, but they had their family, they had their religion, they had their music, they had their stories. It's an interesting culture, but that area is where we get the bluegrass music. Now, bluegrass music wasn't mainstream. It never became like country or rock. It was never like that. But what really makes the bluegrass music stay alive is the festivals. The festivals. People will come and they will meet new friends, and they will reunite with old friends, and they just enjoy playing music together. I'm going to finish today's video with a joke. How do you tune a violin to play bluegrass music? You just have to fiddle with it. I'm Karen Rogers. I educate, motivate, and entertain. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Y'all come back. You hear?